Hello the internet, and welcome back to my channel. I purchased another faulty motherboard. This is a 386, I think it's like a baby motherboard. I think I have three or two of these motherboards already, all very similar. It features an AMD 386DX40 microprocessor. It doesn't have any PCI slots. Well, it's a 386 board, so I wouldn't expect that. It's a bit dirty. Yeah. And it has some kind of extended battery damage here. So you can see there's quite a lot of corrosion here. I can see corrosion on the cache modules. You can see there's quite a lot of blue stuff in here. And I've noticed there's quite a lot of, maybe this way, well, there's corrosion on the BIOS chip as well. So I have a feeling this is going to be, well, I shouldn't say that, an easy repair in terms of just cleaning all the contacts, and hopefully it will boot up. I see a few, if I'm saying that right, tantalum capacitors here. Hopefully they won't explode as they sometimes do. Well, finger crossed. Let's have a look at the back. Yeah, I can see a little bit of corrosion at the back, but nothing too serious, hopefully. Yang and Ya. Okay, I guess that's the brand of the motherboard. Or it's made in Taiwan. There's a few jumper selection table here. What else do we have? Do we have any other indication of this board, of the brand or anything? Probably this is not exactly as the ones I have, to be honest. Again, it comes with a little bit of cache. At least I think this is cache. And yeah, well, let's again, power it up and see what happens. First thing first. So power supply connectors could be better, but yeah, no, they're fine-ish. Yeah, it's still perfectly fine. Bank 0, it says bank 0 here, so I guess I have to start from here, and they should be going in for multiples of 4. Well, let's see what the monitor does. Monitor should be on VGA ready. So, well, I guess only thing, yeah, let me remove power from the hard drive. Otherwise, it keeps spinning up and down. We don't want to break it. See what happens, and let's hope there's no explosions or anything. 3, 2, 1, go. Well, there's no explosions. And as expected, maybe nothing's happening. Okay, CPU is, yeah, it's getting warm, so something's happening. But nothing is booting up. Okay, that is expected. Now, there's one thing I'd like to do now. I have this speaker here. Let's see if the motherboard is saying something. So, speaker I have here. Where is the speaker? Just want to make sure, because I should probably look at the jumpers as well to make sure the speed is correct, to make sure sometimes you have to select whether you have cache or not. To be completely honest with you, I don't really see, there's really not much on this motherboard. Okay, so we'll take a look in a sec, but let's power it up. Oh, I didn't realize I wasn't pointing at the motherboard. Let's power it up again with the speaker connected to see if there's anything coming out of it. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, no, there's nothing happening on that end. I believe if the BIOS is not working, it's not running. There's no code running, which means there can't even be BIOS bits. Okie dokie. So I believe, not entirely sure about that, but again, the next step would be, let's check that BIOS chip, because again, there are no BIOS beeps. So let's power it off. Let's remove this video card. Let's take a look at that chip. So the chip looks pretty healthy. Okay. The socket maybe a little less healthy. Not too much. Well, no, actually, I think I can see a little bit of greenish, but nothing too serious. Okay, and that's the keyboard BIOS. So that is the jumper for the monochrome color. There's another jumper here that says, what? GNOME disk. I have no idea. Disk, like in this. Oh, discharge. Maybe. I don't know. And then we have this, which is, I guess, the frequency of the processor. 50 megahertz, 66 megahertz, 80 megahertz. Now this is 40, and if I'm not mistaken, I have to set it on 80. I found that on another motherboard. I'm not entirely sure why. So let's find JP7, 8, 11, which are hopefully these ones. Well, yes, 7, 8, and 11. Right now they're set, it's only 11 closed. Yes, so it is set for 80 megahertz, which is open, open, close. So that should be correct. And that's it, to be honest. There's a jumper here, JP2. It doesn't really say, I don't see indications on the motherboard about that. So for now, what I'd like to try, which maybe it's been tried by the seller already, but let's try that. I mean, it's 101. I have some contact cleaner. So let's see, because again, it doesn't look in too bad shape. Right, let's fit it back in, make sure it's aligned and the right direction. Okay, well, let's give it another go. I think the next stage would be to remove these cache memory chips, because they're quite corroded. I don't know whether maybe if they're not making proper contact, they may cause some trouble. I don't know, just to be on the safe side. Okay, actually, since I'm here, I think I'm gonna wash this motherboard anyway. Okay, again, let's give it another go and see what happens. So 3, 2, 1, go. And I would say there is no luck. The next step would be to check some voltages. Now, I don't know whether if this is a good point for ground, which one could be ground, maybe, oh yeah, well, it's definitely ground. Okay, so let's check voltages, power it back up again. Usually voltage is this pin here. There's always that reflection in the way. I don't actually measure anything here. Oh, I think that's because it's kind of the other way around. Yeah, 4.8 volts, 4.9. Okay, so the BIOS is getting voltage, which is a bit kind of disappointing. The keyboard BIOS is getting voltage, and these memory chips getting voltage. Okay. And still no boot. So before coming to conclusion and, well, not conclusion, but before firing up the oscilloscope and look at things, and the next step, I want to remove these chips, only because they're quite corroded. Again, just in case, I don't know, maybe the system is trying to see them. Yeah, oh yes, these are properly corroded. You should be able to see that. Yeah, so I mean, they're not gonna work anyways. I'm sure about that. So let's remove them, even though again it's not the easiest task. Get stuck in there, and I need to pay attention not to use other components as a lever, basically. Okay, let's see what happens now. Yes. Right, 3, 2, 1, go. And I still don't see anything on screen. Is it definitely on VGA? Yeah, it is on VGA, no signal coming. Oh. I don't know whether that is relevant or not. I want to show you something. I don't know whether that's supposed to be like that. Where it says C64, it looks like one of the components is missing, which I guess is a capacitor, which may have exploded, even though it would have left some signs like burning sign or something. And again, I don't feel the capacitor is going to prevent the motherboard from powering up, but there is a capacitor missing. It looks like it's been chopped off, to be honest. Again, I doubt that could cause this problem, but you never know. I guess it's also a matter of following some tracks here, especially, again, around the power supply. Maybe one of the tracks is not working. Traces, sorry, not tracks. Okay, well, I guess this is not a super easy one where you put some contact cleaner and it starts working again. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so something weird's happening. I powered up my oscilloscope and I was probing the BIOS, and there's no video card. And this is happening, assuming it still happens, and it was not just me pushing on the BIOS pin. But let me power it up again. Right, so it's counting memory, and I think it's rebooting. And I guess this is like, oh, there's no video card, I'm giving up. So let me plug the video card back in. The only thing I was doing, I was probing one of the pins here and just wondering whether maybe I just pushed down the BIOS chip a bit more, or somehow the video card is stopping this process. I haven't done anything else. I was thinking off camera. Let's try again. That's interesting. So it doesn't boot up without the video card. With the video card, sorry. There's one thing I'd like to try. There's this jumper here which says which I guess is discharge, normal discharge. Just want to try and change position because I have no documentation of this. I have a feeling it's on discharge. I don't know what that does, to be honest. I just want to move it to the other position. And let's try again. 3, 2, 1, go. No, doesn't like it. Okay, but if I remove the video card and I power it up, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, doesn't like it anymore. So power off. Let's try and put that jumper where it was before. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, that's... Whoa. Okay, that's even different from before. Let's try again. 3, 2, 1, go. That's even different. I want to try this. Let me try and push on this chip and power it up again. 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. It's counting memory again. All right, power off. Let me try and stick the video card back in. And let's push on the chip. Well, and let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. And nothing happens. That's very, very interesting. Well, at least I know that I would say the majority of the components are working here, because it's definitely attempting to boot up somehow. A final test, let me try a different slot. You never know. Okay, let's try again. 3, 2, 1, go. Haha. But it's still not moving up. There's nothing on screen. And it's kind of... It is power cycling. Very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, and it booted up. Look at that. I really haven't done anything. Well, it's... What is it doing now? Is it... It's rebooting. Oh yeah, okay, it's booting up and then it's rebooting. But we have a picture on screen. I don't know what's going on. But I would say it's good news. It's definitely booting up. It's just it's in this looping boot loop. I have no idea, but it's definitely a good point where to start. We have something on screen. Right, I have done a little troubleshooting off camera, and to be honest, I haven't found anything. The behavior of this board is completely random. Sometimes it attempts to boot up with no video. Sometimes it attempts to boot up with video. And sometimes it just doesn't do anything. And I feel it's due to the corrosion or maybe a bad soldering joint, because it seems like sometimes if I bend the board a bit, it boots up. If I put it back where it was, it stops booting up. So just let me try and show you what I mean. So now I have no power. Now I'm powering up now. And nothing happens. Now usually, power off now, if I remove the video card, usually tries to boot up, or at least I can hear the memory being counted. I powered up again. This time it didn't happen. So power off again. Let's try and, again, I'm trying slightly, gently bend the board downwards. 3, 2, 1, power on. Still nothing. Let me try the, I don't know, like holding it this way. Power on. Okay, this time it is trying to boot up, but it didn't count the memory. Let's try and flex it a bit this way. Power on. And now it's counting the memory. And it keeps rebooting apparently, because I can hear it's counting and counting. power off. Now if I drop it, leave it there, and I try again, power on now. We have a different error. I think I also would like to wash this board because again, there's some corrosion. I want to wash it with my blue fluid, which should take care of the alkaline or basic corrosion from the battery. Before doing that and maybe resolder everything at the back, just out of curiosity, I want to check all the rails, the voltage rails coming to the ISA slots. Just I'm curious to see if there's anything out of the ordinary. So I'm firing up the oscilloscope and let's see what happens. Okay, so I will overlay, or I'll try to do, an ISA slot schematics when I'm editing the video. So for now, I have it one here on my computer. I can see there is, I can see there's a reset line. It says reset DRV. I'm curious to see what happens. So that's B2. That's supposed to be here. I'm curious to see what happens. You know, when it's rebooting, assuming it's rebooting. So let's see what happens. I have that set to, let's set it to 1 volt per division. Okay, let's try see what happens. Right, I don't really see any activity here. Okay, so let's keep running this way. I suppose I can disable the speaker for a moment. So number 3 is 5 volts. So 1, 2, 3 is 5 volts. And it looks healthy. It's 4.9 and yeah, I think this power supply is outputting about 4.9. Number 3. Number 5 is -5, which is probably nothing, because I think that this power supply doesn't have -5. It reads 1.1, but I guess, again, I know that this power supply doesn't have -5. Then we have -12. Exactly. So let's make this up. Okay, and it's reading, again, it looks healthy. It's reading -11.6, which I suppose it's enough. And then we should have +12. $12.2, and it looks healthy. You know, it's not jumping or doing anything. Okay, then that's it, to be honest. I don't know, A2 is data 7. Okay. It is doing something. Okay. So I don't see anything, well, at least this, in terms of rails, anything massively out of the ordinary. What I'd like to do is re-plug the speaker. Let me try and lower the volume a bit. Oh, a bit. So what I'd like to do now is hopefully power off to try and get to a state where it doesn't boot up and see if there's any difference with the rails. So power on again. Okay, still booting up. Power off. I guess I'll, I don't know, move the board a bit. See if I can get to the state where it doesn't try to boot up. Power on again. Okay, it is not booting up now. So let's check my +5 volts. And again, it looks healthy. I got 2 volts per divisions now. So it's 4.8, it's fine. Next is, I think, -12. And I have -11.5, and next one is +12, and I have 12.2. So voltages are good. Let's try again one of the data line. It's actually doing something. I feel the next step is to redo all the soldering joints in the back, maybe wash these corrosion a bit, maybe check some traces. because it's kind of working when it's booting up, I don't know, it's probably my step number one. So along with all my tests, I'm also trying to use my fiber pen on the BIOS chip. So you can see on the left-hand side is the, how can I say, treated and brushed, polished legs, and on the right-hand side are the pins as they wear. So yeah, see what happens with that. I'm not particularly optimistic, but it won't hurt. I have reflowed some of the joints, not all of them, quite a lot. So I've done the BIOS, the keyboard BIOS, the power connector, everything that was around the battery, which is a bit corroded. I've brushed the BIOS legs, cleaned the memory sockets. It's still not doing anything. Well, it's still doing exactly the same. So before reflowing more stuff, I like to do some couple of basic checks on the CPU. So you can't really see it, but I'm going to probe pin number 24, which is clock. So 21, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so power on. I think that's me. I think it's perfectly stable. It's just the connection isn't great. But top right, you can see it says 80 megahertz, which I believe it's okay for a 40 megahertz processor. I don't know why, but the other one I have does the same. But again, clock is there. So let's check on voltage, which is pin number 2. Yeah, we got 4.8. And it's not even booting up, by the way. So then I'd like to check the reset line, which is number 45. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, didn't do anything. So let's try a few more times, power off, because I should see something when it's booted up. So 3, 2, 1, power. Still nothing, power off. Let me remove this video card. Somehow without the video card, it's easier, it's more likely to boot. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, I did see something. Let's put it in roll mode. Right, so the CPU doesn't get a reset pulse. Let's power it off. But it should happen when it powers up. So 3, 2, 1, go. Which doesn't really. So let me try and short the reset jumpers. I'm doing it now. It doesn't even work. It doesn't do anything. Oh, no, it actually paused for a sec. Okay, it came out with a different message. I'm shorting it again. Okay, so yes, there is a reset going to the CPU. And whenever I do it, actually if I hold it, yeah, that's me holding the reset jumper on the motherboard. Okay, so that seems to be working. If this is a 1 long and 8 short, anyways, 8 short is video problem, which is weird. I mean, the video card is not plugged in. It's interesting that when I reset the board using like a screwdriver, using the reset jumper, it seems to be always come up with the BIOS beeps, the 8 beeps. It doesn't attempt to boot up. Let's power up again. 3, 2, 1, go. There should be a reset pulse when I power up, to be honest. Okay, so if I reset it now using the reset jumper, that's me. Yeah. Power off. Let's try and stick the video card back in. Power on. Okay, I don't have a video, so let's try and reset it now with the video card in. That's me. That's interesting. Oh, we got video now. And it's not rebooting. Whoa, that's new. That's very new. Let me show you. So for the first time, we have video on screen. We have our error messages, which are nothing to be concerned about. And the board is not rebooting. Very interesting. So now I will switch it off, plug my keyboard, and see if, I don't know, see what happens, because I really don't know what happens here. Okay, so let's power it up again. Nothing happens. Weird. Let's try and reset it using the reset jumper. Okay, just done it. But still nothing happens. That's so weird. Oh, no, it is booting up. And it's not rebooting. So can I get into the BIOS? What is that? Computers no. I'm pressing F1 on the keyboard. Wow. And okay. So anything I press on the keyboard comes up with that. So, and it still says keyboard error. Now, that's kind of understandable because there's quite a lot of damage around the keyboard. So I suppose maybe I should follow traces around the keyboard. Maybe that's all our problem. I don't know why now it's not rebooting. I have no idea. So my two concerns here are, why doesn't it boot up? Why doesn't it get to this stage first thing first when I power up and it needs a reset? And I'm a bit concerned that there's no reset pulse on that CPU when it powers up. I have basically an identical board. I can check on that one whether that happens. Number two, why the keyboard is not working. So I guess I'll focus on the keyboard not working first, because I feel it could be an easy thing, and then we'll move from there. Okay, so I digged out a very similar motherboard. Let me show you, which is this thing here. It's a 386 40 megahertz, and it's very, very, very similar. I mean, the layout changes a bit, but it's basically, I would say it's almost the same board. So what I want to see here is the behavior of the reset line. So let's go back on pin number 45 and power on now. Aha. So somehow there's no sound, but the board has booted up. Now if I reset the board and the switch is here. Okay, so that's my reset switch. Yes, and it's booting up again. Power off. And it does exactly like the other one. The thing is, when I'm powering on, I have a reset pulse. 3, 2, 1, go. Which is starting everything up. And the other board doesn't have it. There you go, it's booted up. So it seems obvious that the reset line of this motherboard has some issues. Just to, well, prove it or prove my theory, I placed a jumper on the reset line. What I'm going to do, I'm going to simulate the reset pulse that should happen when the motherboard is first powered. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give power to the board, and like 1 second later I'm going to remove the jumper, so to simulate what should happen naturally. So here I got my power button. Right, 3, 2, 1, power, and remove jumper. And the board boots fine. It doesn't stop, it doesn't reset, it does what it's supposed to do. Now, we have well, the keyboard is not connected anyways, we have a keyboard issue, but the board is booted up exactly as you would expect, with no beeps, no errors, no nothing. So to me, it looks like there's a problem with the reset line. So again, next step is try and fix the memory, because at this point everything should be working, and then I will try and trace the reset line and see where it goes. I can try and get some help from some working board, even though they're not exactly the same, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, I think I may have found the first broken trace, which, as I suspected, is in this area here where the battery was. So this what's the capacitor here? It's on a line which is connected to the keyboard connector, which is here on the left-hand side. As you can see, there's a little line going back to the connector, and I can trace. I can have a continuity from the connector to this pin here. Okay. The thing is, that's the keyboard bias. If I try and buzz all the pins here with the keyboard bias, there's nothing happening. But if I move a little forward and I scratch the, how's it called, the screen anyway, the protection of this trace here. So if I place my multimeter here, and then I check again on the keyboard bias, as you can see, there's this pin here, the first one, which is conducting. So clearly the trace is interrupted here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a little wire from this capacitor leg to this bias pin here, probably at the back of the board. It's a little bit more elegant. Okay, I got good news and the bad news. The good news is I was following another trace which looked suspicious, which is, let me see if I can show you. So we found that this trace is interrupted, and basically I could scratch the, how's that called? I can't remember the protection in here, and I was trying to get some continuity here, but I couldn't get any, and it looked like this was going straight to this, I think it's a 5-volt pin. So I removed the power connector, and indeed you can see it's actually going here, but as you can see there's no continuity. And trust me, I'm actually touching the trace. Can I show you? But under the bias chip, I scratched the protection from the trace, and I can make it bit. So I know that the trace, I'm definitely touching the copper on the trace. But again, if I'm checking continuity from this point and the power connector, there's nothing here. That's definitely good news. The bad news is that when I removed this, one of the pins snapped. To be honest, I was quite careful, so maybe it was a bit corroded. Anyways, it has snapped, so I guess I'll try and get another one, even though I suppose these things are difficult to find. If available, they're going to be expensive. For the time being, it would be a good idea to just patch it to see if it works. So what I'm going to do next is to fix those traces at the back of the board. Okay, I've done the patchwork. Continuity is back. Maybe not the most elegant job. Obviously I will tape it after I wash everything. Maybe I can short this one a little bit. I'll try and make it look nice. It's never nice, is it? But I don't know. Let's see what happens. I obviously reuse the existing one. I hope it works. I probably should check without hoping. It's this pin here, which is connected here at the back of the board, so I should be able to see whether there is continuity, even though the pin, the leg is broken. So let's try this. Yeah, there is. So, I mean, it's an old board. So the board is back. I've got the keyboard back in, power supply, video card, speaker. I've removed the reset jumper, because again, that I think it's a 5-volt, the gray line, I'm not sure about that. It's going to a chip here on the motherboard. So who knows that was the problem with the reset line. Everything is possible. I would say let's give it a go, and hopefully 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, it's booting up. Okay. So it's booting up without me having to reset things, and let's try and press F1. Whoa, look at that. It works. Yeah. Keyboard is working, and the motherboard, most importantly, the motherboard is booting up on its own. Just out of curiosity, let's fire off the motherboard. Let's fire up the oscilloscope, and let's see if that reset line is actually working now. And pin is 45, so you can see everything. Power on. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, the reset line is working again, and that is why the motherboard is working. Wow. And it is booting up again. Okay, I'm kind of impressed. I wasn't expecting that to work so straight away. And this controller is in. The power to the hard drive is in. Let me plug the DVD drive as well, because since it's connected and it's got drivers, it will go and search for it, otherwise it takes forever. I've got the cache back in, this extra module. I don't know what that is. If anybody knows, I've got this 4 20 milliseconds with that 256 kilobit each, I don't know. Plus I have one which is 15 millisecond module. I don't know what's the difference, to be honest. I don't know. If anybody knows, please do let me know. And yeah, let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. And it's booting up, which is good. Obviously, it will come up with an error message. Obviously, we got no battery, display, blah, blah, blah. F1. And let's have a look at what we got. Well, it's the usual BIOS. Well, we don't care so much about the date. Hard drive, let's see if we have an automatic on the other menu. Whoops. This must be 144. Floppy, primary display, VGA, keyboard installed. Okay. Yes, there is an auto detect hard drive, which is working. It has seen this 8 megabyte hard drive. Yes. Ah, okay, yes. And advanced, let's make sure we've got the external cache memory enabled. Perfect. Turbo switch enabled, which reminds me I need to put a jumper on it. Okay, advanced. Well, we don't care about that. Let's write and exit. And it's booting up. 128 kilobytes cache memory, 400 megahertz, 386DX. Everything seems to be fine. Well, the sound card is not in, so that's fine. There's no audio drive chip, and those error messages are fine because the sound card is not plugged in. Okay, so we stopped the auto exec. Let me just go my way to find out whether it's in turbo mode or not, and just to check on the speed of the when you're running the Windows folder. Okay, and then I have my turbo switch Do the same. Okay, so it's much faster now. Wow, okay. So it's working. Can I run Doom with this setup? I doubt it, because that's working. Okay, fair enough. Wow. Wow, we got Doom running. And again, there's no sound card, even though... Oh, this is configured for sound cards, so even the PC speaker is not working. Yeah, it's very slow, as you would expect from a 386. I do remember that, because I used to have a similar computer, to be honest. Yeah. Whoa. Why? Why is it spinning? Well, something's happened. Either something's happened to my keyboard. It may have somehow crashed, or something may have happened. Okay, it's not doing anything anymore. So it needs a reset. Okay, well, it doesn't like something, it crashes. I have no idea whether it's the fact that it's looking for the sound card or there's something wrong with the system. It's, I don't know. But the good news is it's working. The motherboard is definitely working, so it only needs a wash, fix those. Obviously some of the cache legs are still corroded. The motherboard is filthy, and once it's clean and everything is okay, I'll do a little more stability test, because right now it's not really working very well. But what is important is that if I switch it off and then I switch it back on, okay, I don't know why it says FDD controller failure. Well, it's working now, but it's not booting up. No, it is. It's just taking time. Okay, well, we'll move on from here. At this stage of the troubleshooting, I think I would like to run some test software to test the memory, the system in general, I don't know, even the video card, everything, test the keyboard maybe with some other software, with Windows inside Windows, because it looks like there maybe, I don't know, I'm not entirely sure this is a keyboard problem anymore, as Doom seems to be crashing somehow. So before going on with any further troubleshooting, let's run some tests. Let's begin with Check It Pro. And let's run some, again, the whole battery of tests. As you can see, the keyboard is working. Every single key is working. I haven't got any issues. I've been using this the software for a little while now. There's no issues whatsoever with anything I'm doing. The final test I'd like to run is the running Windows, and see if in, I don't know. Obviously, the keyboard seems to be failing only under Doom, so I'm assuming something's going on with Doom. It's using protected memory, something which MS-DOS, like the basic interface, doesn't do. Let's run Windows and see if Windows is doing something in the background which is somehow upsetting the keyboard controller chip or anything. Nothing. Everything seems to be working. Only one thing. Let me try, because obviously with Doom, the keyboard seems to be failing when the arrow keys have been. How can I say? You're moving around, so you're holding a key down. I don't know. Let's see if that causes any changes. Let's try with the arrows. At this stage, I'd like to finish the first video here. It's getting a bit too long. I'm trying to not to make stupidly long videos on YouTube because I guess there are not many people willing to spend, I don't know, an hour and a half watching a video. So let's finish the video here for now. I think we got to a good outcome. So the motherboard is booting up. We found what the problem was. We fixed the reset line and a couple of extra lines. The keyboard is working, but the keyboard is still not working with Doom for whatever reason, and there seems to be some instability issues as well. I don't know. Obviously, I need to work on this motherboard a bit more, and I guess I'll leave it to a future episode, which will come as soon as possible. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and see you soon.